the audience topics that we may discuss maybe in future. I think we have talked about business partnership. We have talked about sourcing things from abroad. We have talked about real estate. I don't know if I can get from the audience other topics that we can discuss at our next business forums. I'll just open up to you guys. Any topics that you want to learn in business that we can jot down and then make them an agenda for the next business forums. Yes, Tabani. How to use AI in business. Elder Mavhuli, can we just note those topics down? How to use AI in business. Yes, AI is here, and we have to know how to leverage AI technologies in our businesses. How many of us already use AI? Okay, that's wonderful. Any other topics we may discuss in the future? Something that you may want to clarity to be shared upon? Okay. All right, no, that's fine. So at this moment, it is now my distinct honor and privilege to introduce to you our speaker for the day. Our speaker is a respected elder within Cornerstone Fellowship International, a qualified accountant, accomplished entrepreneur, business investor, and business leader with a proven track record in wealth creation and enterprise development. She is passionate about empowering individuals and families through practical financial knowledge and strategic investment. Recently, she was recognized as at an international platform when she received the Female Entrepreneurship Award at the South Africa-Zimbabwe Business Expo. Maybe a round of applause would do that. This is a testament of her contribution to the business leadership and entrepreneurship. Today, she will be sharing insights on one of the most powerful vehicles for wealth creation and legacy building available to ordinary people. That is real estate. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Elder Mavhuli.
Thank you, Elder, and greetings to everyone who have managed to ignore the weather and come out of their blankets and be here. It means that this topic is important to you. Thank you for coming. I would like to honor my pastors, Pastor Fiuda and Pastor Ngosi, and my elders and my deacons. I just want to thank you for this opportunity. Today, our topic, before we get into today's topic, for our raffle, we've got a book to be won. It's called Making Money Out of Property in South Africa. Who wants to have a copy? It's worth about 400 rand. My husband bought it for me some time ago, so I thought maybe it would be better to give it as a raffle. So we've got raffle tickets. Media, can you please put our building funds account? It's only 20 rand. Please, it's only 20 rand per ticket. So you can enter as many times as you want. You can buy as many tickets as you want. But then at the end, we'll draw the ticket. So the winning ticket will win the book. So please buy. You can buy cash. Or if you don't have cash, you can do EFT to our business fund account. It's FNB. So the reason why we are doing that is we also have got a business fund project that is going on for our church. We want to buy our own church. This one we are renting. So we are raising funds. You are free to even to put more than 20 rand for a ticket. You are even free to donate to us, please. Thank you. So I'll give this to Bernice, the tickets. You can get the tickets from Bernice. You can give her 20 rand or 100 rand, then she'll give you tickets. If you have done an EFT, then you just show her the proof of payment, then she'll give you a ticket. Amen. So, my name is Nyarie. As Elder has said, Nyarie Mavhuli. I am a professional accountant, an independent reviewer, I'm a tax practitioner, I'm a business advisor, and I run my own accounting firm called Zero Limits Accounting Services. And then I grew a passion in property and joined real estate company as part-time agent. That was about 10 years ago. And I later started my own branch, or a franchise that was called Royal Homes. Then about 3 years ago, I then started my own Zero Limits Properties after I qualified as a master property practitioner. So far I've got experience in buying properties and selling properties personally. So far, me and my husband, we've bought about 12 properties. I was counting and I was surprised. That this is far that the Lord has taken us. So we have managed to acquire 12 properties so far, and we have sold 5. The first one we bought it through a bond. That's the only one that we bought through bond. Then the rest we bought them through installment sale agreement. So amazing. And once you buy one property, get motivated to buy another one. It's like the Monopoly game. You understand? There's nothing quite like, the search for your dream home or investment. The touch, the look, the smell of a potential purchase, the adrenaline rush during the negotiations to secure a property. It's so exciting. It takes only one successful deal to motivate you to do more and more. So maybe I can have those who have experienced owning a house. Can you just raise your hands? Oh. And those who aspire to own one. So those who have experienced, the adrenaline of owning a house. Anyone volunteer to tell us how you felt when you bought your first property? One volunteer. Who is volunteering to tell us how you felt when you bought your first property?
Oh, it's me. So our first property, we always laugh about it, that it was a mistake, but we laughed that mistake and we felt like we had arrived. But it was just a small 2-bedroom flat that we got in Jimiston.
Okay, before you give the mic away, maybe you can tell us, why are you saying it was a mistake? What did you learn from there?
So we only looked at 2 properties, and it was okay in terms of where I was working, and where we had one son that was Tafazo, could go to crash, so it was fine. But after we bought it, and after probably everything had settled, 2 months, 3 months down the line, realized, no, this is not the best location that you could ever buy from. But anyway, it was already done.
Yeah, I agree. And also, it was a headache after that. When the family grew, we decided to move to a bigger house. Then we put a tenant there. But then the board corporate was something else. There was no electricity. And then the tenant refused to pay rent. And we were having a bond saying, hey, my things got rotten in the fridge. You must pay back my money for the things that got rotten. It was just disaster, and he was not paying. And we were supposed to pay the bonds, and it was something else. But it was, it was a lesson. And we managed to stay when we needed the accommodation. So, yeah. And also the bond every month when the tenant is not paying, the stress, the headache of you don't even answer your phone sometimes because they are threatening of repossessing the flat, and it was something else. So we learned a lesson from there. That's why I said the next properties we decided to do through installment sale. We just negotiate with the seller and you pay in installments. There's no interest, there's no bond. Sometimes you find some sellers who are also fussy, they want their money as they promised, but you can negotiate, It's not a big institute like a bank. You can negotiate, they are human beings. You can negotiate until you're finalized. So that was what the biggest thing that we learned there. There's the end. Okay, Elder Kudzi.
Thank you. Good afternoon. For us, or for me, when we bought our first piece of land in 2013, 2014, it was so exciting. We were so happy, and even going through the experience of building from scratch. It was, when you come and view the house, the foundation has been done, window level, roof level, and all. It was so exciting. And I remember it was a 4-bedroom house. And people would ask, why are you building such a big house? It's just the two of you. And yeah, but over the time, yes, we then realized, okay, yeah, it is quite big and no one visits to come and stay. So we only used the 2 bedrooms, and then the other 2 bedrooms, actually, one became the storage and the other one was for the helper. So yeah, it was quite exciting the first time, and over the years, I think we bought a lot of pieces of land, and then I think recently buying a property here in South Africa has also been quite exciting. So yeah, and knowing that it's coming to terms with it being for investment and not for you to stay there has been, something that has been, I think we now focused. We now know that it's better if you have the money. It's better to then put it in something that's meant for investment than to then stay with a very big house, which is so cold because you 2 or 3 can't even warm up the whole house. And me being afraid of being in a big house, it's scary. So yeah, I think now it's quite, I thank a few people who have actually opened up our minds, to actually show us that there are better things that you can actually do with the money if you have it. You'd rather use it to generate more income than to just sit pretty in a very big property. Thank you.
That's a good point there, Elder. That you can use it as an investment if it's too big for you or if it doesn't serve a purpose for you. And those who are aspiring, what are your expectations? Or if you haven't started, what's stopping you from owning even a flat or a small piece of land? Who said he's aspiring? Tabani.
I think for the longest time, it was just lack of knowledge. I remember having a conversation with Elder Munya, telling me that you don't need to have all the money to buy the specific property to actually, own it. Even something like if a decent pay slip, that is enough to also get you there. I think that was the biggest thing that for me, I didn't know that there are many avenues in which you can buy a property.
Yeah, that's true. Even if you are full-time employed, still property offers real opportunity to break all the shackles of financial constraints and turn your daily job into a secondary source of income. Just imagine, your job can actually be a secondary source of income if you do property correctly. And sometimes we don't start because of fear or it's because of lack of knowledge. I believe that's why we are here, that we should also choose correct advisors and have the correct knowledge. Everyone is entitled to wealth, no matter your background, no matter your color, no matter your race. You are entitled to wealth, and also you are entitled to wealth through property. So don't just be a sideline or a spectator, stand on a sideline or be a spectator. Those who stay on the sideline are often the ones who tell the success stories of those who got into the game. So get into the game, even if you're young, even if you're old, even if you are not employed, even if you are employed, just get into the game. It does not take money to make money in property. We'll see as we go further. And I believe this room is filled with investors, with sellers, with buyers, with landlords, with entrepreneurs and wealth builders. And we are all wanting to build wealth through property. The purpose of this seminar is not simply to motivate you to buy property. The purpose is to help you understand how property works as a wealth building vehicle in South Africa or anywhere in this world. Many people own property, but not everyone makes money from property. But we want to make money from property. That's why we are here. And that's a very important distinction when it comes to property. You can even own a property and struggle financially if you don't do it right. You can buy a property and still lose money. You can have tenants and still have negative cash flow. You can sell a property and still fail to make a real profit. So today we are going to discuss practical lessons that can help you make wiser property decisions. The key message here is property can make you money, but only when you understand the market. Buy strategically, finance wisely, negotiate properly, manage risk, and think long term. So the question is here, why property? Why should I invest in property? There are so many channels of investments that we can think of. But why property? You can make money by just buying shares. You can make money by starting a business. You can make money by being employed. But today we want to look at why making money through property. Because property is one of the most trusted and proven ways to build wealth. Because it can provide capital growth, it can provide rental income, it can give us leverage, it can give us equity, it can give us security and legacy. So let's look at, Tandazo, can you move with me? The foundation of property. If you look in the Bible, Psalms 24 verse 1, it says, "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it, and he calls us to be regional managers." So God isn't creating any more land. So securing your share of what is already existing is very essential, because you can't say, I'm waiting for the new land to come. This land that is already there, this property that is already there, we should make sure that we have a share. We should have a share on the land that is there. The Bible speaks extensively about land because God cares about stability. If you look at Proverbs 31 verse 16, it says, "She considers a field." I know you excel like Proverbs 31. Proverbs 31 verse 16, it says, "She considers a field and buys it. From her earnings, she plants a vineyard." So from this, we learn that godly wealth creation is not based on luck or get-rich-quick schemes. It is based on wisdom and action, like what this woman is doing. She considers a field. This is market research. She does market research. She does due diligence. She does financial evaluation. And then she buys it after that. This is taking calculated risks and executing the transaction. She also plans the vineyard. This is leveraging the property to create passive income. So we should stop looking only for immediate consumption. We should also look for assets that require work but build long-term fruit. If you look at Jeremiah 32, verse 44, it says, fields will be bought for money, deeds will be signed and sealed and witnessed, for I will restore their fortunes, declares the Lord. Real estate is a physical anchor of hope and legitimate weapon against economic chaos. If you look here, Jeremiah bought land in this verse while an enemy army was outside the gates. It looked foolish to the world, but it was an act of faith. God uses signed deeds. He uses legal contracts. He uses physical boundaries to demonstrate that his blessing is tangible, is orderly, and legally secure. So it's also biblical for us to own land. We should own land. Don't let current economic uncertainty paralyze you. Or don't let excuses or wherever you are or your status paralyze you. Investing in property is a declaration that you believe in a future that God has promised to restore. Also, the reason why we should buy property is Proverbs 13 verse 22. It says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. If your financial strategy ends when your life ends, then your vision is too small and you are not following what the Bible says. You have got a generational mandate that we have been given. In the Bible, an inheritance wasn't just cash that could, devalue. It was an allotment of land. That was inheritance. Land gives your grandchildren a foundation so that they do not have to start from zero. It breaks the cycle of generational poverty. Even if we look at ourselves today, our age mates who inherited land from their parents or from their grandparents, they started at a different level than us who have started from zero. So don't let your children start from zero. When you had an opportunity to be in this church today. So shift your mindset from building a lifestyle to building a legacy. Land is a wealth vehicle that survives the passage of time. Land ownership breaks structural dependence. It fulfills the original Genesis mandate to cultivate the earth and provides the equity needed to fund kingdom work globally. You can't say, I want to fund kingdom work when you don't even own a mkuku. Start by owning land, then you can go to and start funding nations. We should move from a consumer mindset to a steward mindset. We should begin educating ourselves in real estate and property fundamentals. We should pray for the vision and the capital to secure our family's allotment so you can become a distribution center for God's blessings. Church, the world knows the value of land. Right now, if we look at, nations are spending trillions of dollars and risking global war just to move a border. Just to move a borderline by a few kilometers. They know that paper money fades, but land endures. If the children of this world understand that land, equals to stability and survival, it is time for us as children of God to wake up and sign the deeds and claim our physical inheritance. We should be Christians who own land. Some sayings that we learn from. It says, real estate is the real investment. Buying real estate is not only the best way, it's the quickest way, it's the safest way, but the only way to become wealth. The best investment on earth is earth. And if you look at they say about 99% who are millionaires today, they became millionaires through owning a real estate. More money has been made in real estate than in all industrial investments combined. Because real estate cannot be stolen. You cannot steal a house. Like today, you come back and you say the house is gone. It has disappeared. It stays. Of course, there might be people who might want to hijack the property, but through the courts, if you have got the title deed, you get it back. And those cases are very few. It cannot be carried away. Real estate cannot be carried away. It is the safest investment in the world. So why do we keep on talking about property? Well, since God isn't creating any more land, securing your share of what already exists is essentially an ultimate investment. The property is not just bricks. It is not just cement, it's not just tiles, it's not just roofing or land. Property is an asset. It is one of the few assets that can serve more than one purpose at the same time. So property can be a shelter. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, accommodation is a basic need. So investing in a basic need has higher chances of getting what? A good return on investment. So property can be used as a shelter. Property can be used to generate rental income. Property can be used to increase the value over time. Property can be used as security for finance. Property can become part of retirement plan. Property can be passed on to children as an inheritance. That is why property has remained one of the most respected wealth building tools in the world. And property is one of the few investments that does not require money to make money. Property allows the investor the added benefit of being able to control the decision as well as the process and outcome than any other investment. If you buy shares in a company, you don't have a say. Of course, they might say there's an AGM, the shareholders meetings, but you don't do day-to-day runnings of that company. So they might even decide to declare a loss. You don't have a say because you don't control. But if you own a property, you can control your property. You can control your cash flow. You can control the rental income that you want to receive from that property. Even banks are far more willing to finance transactions on property than any other investment. They can even go to 110% to cover transfer costs or renovations because they know that it is a solid investment. And property is the most direct and tangible way to make money and watch your investment grow. Property also offers an exit mechanism with a mitigated downside. It means anytime that you feel like this property is no longer giving me the returns that I'm looking for, you can sell it and buy in another suburb. Or you can renovate it or try to change the use. There are different uses of investment property. You can use your property as a shelter, and maybe the other part you can rent it out. You can also use it specifically for rentals. You can also use it maybe as an Airbnb. You can use it even for student accommodation, as a hotel. There are different forms, different ways of making money through property. Investments can make huge sums of money. in any economy, it might be slowing or rising market if you buy wisely. If you buy the right property, you can still make huge sums of money despite what's happening. Property can also finance your lifestyle purchases, which means when you buy a property and your property starts generating income, you can use that money to finance your lifestyle purchases. So, however, property does not automatically make people wealthy. This is where many people make mistake. They assume that because they bought a house, they have made an investment. But not every property purchase is a good investment. I recently had a friend, she bought a property in Joburg. So she was like, I'll never buy property again. Because she bought firstly at the wrong price, and she bought in the wrong location. And so she did things not the right way. So she thinks property is not a good investment. Property becomes a good investment when it is bought with knowledge, at the right price, in the right location, with the right finance, and with a clear strategy. I always say, do not buy property because you are excited. Buy property because you are informed. So now we have looked at the reasons why we should invest in property. Let's look at different ways of acquiring property or funding our property. So with us today, we have got Daniel. He is who is he? Oh, hi. I saw you, but now I'm wondering, where are you? So he's a bond originator. You also come and tell us about the bond. And also, I've also have got my learned partner here, Elder Memorum Mhlolo. You also come and join the panel later. So let's look at ways of buying property. People say, because I don't have a salary, or because I earn so much little, or because I am a Madumbe. They say, I have heard of this word of Madumbe, but there are so many Madumbes who are buying properties. So you don't have Madumbes, what can I say? The house helpers. They are buying properties, they are making stock fails, and they are buying properties. With payslip or with no payslip, you can buy a property. So there are so many ways of buying a property. Okay, let's look at the most common one, bank home loan or mortgage bond. I'm not sure if you can see my slides. They look too small, eh? Okay, so the bond is the most common method. This one, you don't need money. You don't need a lump sum of money. Sometimes, if you're lucky, the bank can give you the transfer cost. It can also give you the renovation cost. So you might not spend even a cent when you're buying a property through the bond. But sometimes you have to raise, finance costs. You have to raise renovations, or you might even need to put a deposit. But this is the commonly used method to buy property. The buyer applies to a bank for a home loan, and the property becomes security for the loan. A bank will usually just check your income and affordability to see if you qualify for a bond. So for you to qualify for a bond, normally they look at your bond should be at least 30% of your salary. And when your bond repayment normally is 1% of the purchase price. They also look at your credit score. They also look at your existing debts. They also look at deposit that you have available. And they look at are you employed? Even if you want to buy through the business, they look at the business income, so you need to have your annual financial statements ready. And also you as the director or the shareholder, they also look at your credit record. So make sure that you as an individual and as the company, your credit credit record is good. And then the banks also look at the property value. They also come and do valuation to make sure that the value that you are buying at is the correct market value. And then the next one is the government also gives a subsidy. Do you know that? When you are a first-time buyer, you can get property, you can buy from the government helps you. It's called flips, but it has changed the name now. I can't remember the correct name now that they use. If you are earning between 3.5 million to 22 million, you qualify for that government subsidy. 3.5 to 22,000. Okay. So if you're earning 3,500 to 22,000, you qualify for a flips. But you have to be a South African citizen or having a permanent residence, and there are so many things that they look at for you to qualify, and you should be a first-time buyer. And the next, you can also do a joint bond. Let's say I'm earning, my salary is too low, and for the house that I want, I can join with my husband, I can join with my friends and buy and apply for a bond. You can do with your siblings, or you can buy through a company or a trust. It's also allowed. You can do private finance. Private finance is now you raise money from families, you raise money from friends. If you've got rich friends, maybe they can give you also money. You can raise money also through private investors. There is also some investors who invest in properties. Where is Joseph? Yeah, it's called what? That institute that funds your property buying. Yeah. Yeah, there is some private investors that just invest when you want to buy properties. It comes with a cost as well. Then the other option is installment sale agreement. So installment sale agreement is, under the Alienation of Land Act 68 of 1981. So it works this way. You go and talk or negotiate with the seller and tell them, I am interested in your property, but I'm not, or I don't want to go through the bond route, or I don't have cash now, but can we have an agreement that I pay you in installments? Then you go to the lawyer. Then the lawyer will register that deal so that against the title deed, so that the seller cannot sell the property again. Then when you have agreed, how are you going to pay it? It gets documented. You can pay direct to the seller, or you can pay to the lawyer's trust account. It depends on what you have agreed. Sometimes the seller also wants to use the cash, so he wants the cash before registration. So then the property only gets registered when you have finished paying all the money. So it takes up to 4 years, 5 years, or you can agree that I'll pay in 6 months, or I'll pay in 1 year, or in 1 year, whatever suits you. But make sure you also, when you have promised, you stick to your promises, because it also protects the seller. If you fail to honor your promises, the seller can take the money that you have already paid, and it's allowed because you have wasted the seller's time. Or you can also put it in the agreement that in the event that you have failed to keep on paying, there's a certain percentage that is not refundable. And then you can also use the seller finance. Seller finance is that you agree, maybe you got a bond that is not a full bond, and then the balance, the seller can say, okay, let's do the registration, you pay me the balance in installments, or you just agree how you pay the money. Then there is also what is called rent to buy. Rent to buy is the buyer rents the property with an agreement that they may purchase it later. Sometimes part of the rental is credited towards the purchase price. So some people confuse this. They think paying rent is buying if you are into rent to buy. But no, rent is rent. You still pay rent if you're occupying the property. Then on top of that, you have to pay towards the capital, the purchase price. So maybe you can agree that on top of rent, I'll pay 50,000 or I'll pay 5,000 until the capital is paid. It also needs a very strong agreement because it can become risk if terms are unclear or you stop paying, you might lose your capital as well. And then the next one is called developer finance or installment sale. Some developers offer payment plans, especially for off-plan purchases or new developments. The buyer may pay a reservation fee, then stage deposits, and a balance on registration. There are so many developers who do that these days, that you pay some money while they are building the property. You are also paying your money. Like Ellipse, they were also doing that same way of financing. So you don't have to go and look for a bond or to pay cash. So they can say maybe in 2 years' time, you finish while they are building, and by the time they finish building and before registration, you should have finished paying as well. There is cash sale, of course. If you've got cash, you can just go and pay your cash. Then the property will be transferred into your name. Then there is also partnerships, stock fails. You can have a women's stock fail. There are so many women's stock fails these days. They are no longer doing only grocery stock fails. They are doing property stock fails, which means women are going into levels. They are doing property stock fails. So you can look for those, stock fails. Make sure that there's a constitution, there is memorandum of incorporation that is in place, and everything is documented. You have got a bank account. Everything is recorded. If you want to go that way, or even if you want to do a partnership with someone and we say, let's buy a property as a partnership, make sure you have got a contract, like Elder Munya was teaching us the other time about, making sure that you have got contracts or memorandum of understanding in place if you want to go that route. But it's doable. Even with small money, you can start saving and join those, and join those groups and buy a property. Can we please have a chair? 2 chairs. So while I would like to ask my Elder Memo and Daniel to come forward while we are preparing for them. We can take some questions. So far, if you've got any question about what we have discussed. Yes. Seller finance. Yes. So, yeah, they can finance you. So, for example, let's say the property is going for $1 million, and you got a bond maybe for 500,000. And maybe you also say, I've got cash deposit of 100,000. Now it gets to what? To 600,000. You're short with 4,000. With 400,000. Then the seller says, it's fine, Munya. Let's go and get this registration through. But we are going to record that you are going to pay me, in installments. You understand? So then, you don't get the title deed until you have finished. It can stay with the lawyers. Then until you have finished, then you get your title deed.
Just a word of caution there. Try by all means not to register before you are paid if you are the seller. So I'm talking to us now. It's a means you can use to negotiate to buy, but if you are the one selling, I recommend that try not to register your property into someone's name before they finish payment, because it's the legal process you have to go through. Let's say now the person is not paying the money, right? But it's already in their name. So it then just makes you go through a whole long legal process. So practically wise, if you can avoid it, try and avoid it. If you are the one selling who is sitting in here. But if you can get a property and negotiate that deal, and you know your monies are certain in terms of the inflow of your monies, you can use that means. Am I making sense? Okay.
Okay. While we are also waiting for Daniel, Elder Mayumo, maybe you can introduce yourself. Where is he? Oh,
yes.
Okay.
I just want to understand that first-time buyer, does it have a period? Let's say I acquire the house this year, then maybe after 2 years, I find out about that, and I go back and say, I'm a first-time buyer, I don't have another property. Does it have a period to say you must register for this to qualify for that? I don't know.
First-time buyer, it means that's your first property.
Yes.
You did not buy any property before.
Okay.
So once you are registered in the deeds office
Yes.
that you own the property, you don't qualify as a first-time buyer.
Okay.
Yes.
No, thank you.
Any other question? Elder Memo, you can introduce yourself.
Oh, my name is Memory Mihlolo. I'm from property.coza, basically a property consultant as well. I just wanted to comment on installment buying as well. In as much as it provides for up to like 4 years maximum, is it?
Yeah.
4 years.
4 years maximum.
This is where now you strike a deal with the seller. You approach a seller and you know your incomes are consistent. You know you can buy it over the time. And you do that agreement, you register it at the deeds office. I want to advise us, for those who are here, just as a word of caution, try to keep the installment period as short as possible to reduce risks. So my recommendation is 6 months to 18 months. Maybe stretch it to 24 months. Because in that period, the shorter the period, the less your risks. Because remember, if, let's say you're buying installments, these are some of the risks. Then you pass on. And no one knew that you were buying a property on installments. And it's very common. You get what I'm saying? It means all that money may just be gone. This person may just keep quiet. You get what I'm saying? Or the people who are doing the winding up, of your estate, now to say, okay, our father passed on, this is what he owned, now we need to consolidate and make sure now who in the family are we going to register these assets in their name, right? It can just complicate that if there is such a pending agreement now. You get what I'm saying? Because now you need to do tours, to try and understand where were they and try and get legal help and all that. So keep it as short as possible. Because in about 6 months, chances are you're still alive. Or even the seller passes on. And then, their family makes it complicated for you. Maybe they start saying, no, but this property belonged into a trust. It just gets complicated. So keep it as short as possible.
Thank you. Daniel, may you just introduce yourself to our audience, please?
Afternoon, guys. Afternoon. I wasn't sure whether it's still morning or afternoon. So I saw the time there. I'm Daniel. I'm a bond originator. I've been in property finance for many years, moving from Standard Bank to SA Home Loans to Get-Go Home Loans up until I did DMK Home Loans. whereby now I stand alone. So I was listening to the lady who invited me. Thank you very much. And she was right when she said property market, it's very vast. It's a growing industry. I think per year it grows around 3 to 6%. The market value of real estate, it's around about 550 billion rands. That's now excluding commercial lines, whereby when we included it now hits to the trillion rands. So the question is, in that property market stake, how much stake do you have? What's the percentage that you have? Have you started owning a property? Do you know the first step of owning a property? So she spoke a little bit about home loan, whereby it's my profession, it's what I do. So my job is it's totally free for clients, whether you're employed or you're self-employed. So it's my job to guide you through the right process, through the right channel, and how it's done. So we all know that the first step most of clients do when they look for a property is go on Property 24, am I lying? Or private property. And then you see a house that you love and then you contact an agent. And then the agent, if you've got a smart agent, the first question they'll ask you is, do you have a pre-approval? That's a smart agent. That's an agent who knows his job. Do you have a pre-approval? Have you been assessed first? But an agent who just got excited because he wants to sell this property will just jump straight to, no, when do you want to view the property? And I always say, how do you go to a fight without bullets? Are you going to win? Are you going to win? You go into war, they give you a rifle, no bullets. That's signing a death warrant there. That's signing a death warrant there. So what I'm saying is that you're going in blindly. You're looking for a property, but you don't know if you're going to qualify for it. Yes, there's cash buyers. You might have cash to buy it, then it's fine. It's okay. You've got cash, you're buying it cash. Then all you need to know about is the area, like the madam said. The rates, the taxes in that area, the security in that area, and whether or not that area is high. It depends if you're buying it to live there or you're buying it to generate income, like she said, for rental purposes. Is it a good area for people to rent in that area? Is it close to commodities? Is it close to where people are working? You understand what I'm saying? So I'm touching a little bit about property investment before I go into the finance nitty-gritties of how do you qualify, what the banks look at. So property finance, it's a booming market. And she's right by saying it can actually alleviate your life. It can create generational wealth. It's just that many people don't know how. Most of you sitting here might have houses. Probably you're living with your family. Backrooms or no backrooms. Probably you're unemployed, struggling to make means. You don't know how to go about it, but there's various channels on how to go about creating that generational wealth, creating that 10,000 rand into your account. You just need the knowledge to know where to go. If you've got a property and you're unemployed, you can approach the big hardwares, your cash build, your, what's that other one, the red one? Build it.
House.
They've got building loans as well. Remember, if you go the bank way, they're going to look for a payslip. But if you go the other way, because you don't have a payslip, you're not working, obviously they will ask for the title deed. The title deeds need to be in your name. And you need to have plans, approved plans of those rooms. And you need to have a strategy of how much you're going to rent those rooms for, to prove to the hardware that the rooms will be paying themselves the installment of them providing the people who are going to build and the material. So out of that 10,000, you might get that your installment might be 3,000. You're still making a profit of 7,000. Then our salambi, as we say it. The kids don't have to cry for amazimba and stock sweets. You understand? So that's how you create generational wealth. That's how you get out of poverty.
Sorry, Daniel,
Yes.
before you move on, when we are still on rooms. So, rooms, they bring the highest, return on income. But it's very tricky. Make sure your rooms are according to plans. Don't just build like you're building shacks, and make them neat, and it should be according to plans. Your plan should be approved by municipality.
Let me get into that. So, like I said, you need to have approved plans. And if in future you're going to now think bigger and want to now receive finance from the bank to purchase another property, then you should build the rooms according to the bank's requirements. So I think everyone here is old enough to know when you go rent into a property, what are you looking for? You're going to rent into a property. The first thing that you're going to check is your kitchen, am I correct? But in the kitchen, you're looking for the zinc, am I correct? And then after that, obviously, at night you're going to get very pressed and you need a toilet. Am I correct? Exactly. So when you build a room, as we call it, it's a bachelor. It must have a zinc. Doesn't necessarily need to have a stove. Let them bring their own stove. But a zinc, it must have a zinc. And then it must have a little corner there for a toilet. If it's enough, you can put a shower. It doesn't need a bathroom. It's complete. It can be an open plan with a zinc and have a little corner there with the toilet and shower. Reason why, because if, let's say you build 10 rooms, depending the area, since I've worked in the finance space, 10 rooms can give you around about 30,000 a month. That's a salary. Am I correct? That's a salary. After a year of generating that income, you have lease agreements. A lease agreement doesn't have to be done by an attorney. You can either download it for free, you can go buy it at CNA, or you can draft it on your own and go type it out neatly.
Or you can use the agency.
Exactly. Or you can use the agency. No, she's right. Or you can use an agency.
Best to leave it for agents.
Yes. Or you can use an agency whereby they will then foresee your accounts. Am I correct? Make sure that the tenants pay and the tenants that are moving in are the correct tenants. They are vetted. You don't want to harbor a criminal. Am I correct? You don't want to harbor a criminal. You don't want to put in somebody that's not working or that can't afford, that's going to give you problems. Am I correct? So that's where agencies come in. They vet a person before they come forward. They bring the person
Daniel,
inside.
Thank you. Before you move on to the next point
Yes.
that I know you want to talk about, I would like to go back to Elder Memo. As youth, I'm youth and I'm thinking of investing in property. What advice can you give me?
So anyone can buy property. Doesn't matter your age. As long as you've got the means to finance in terms of purchasing the property. Remember, when you're buying a property, you've got transfer costs, and then you've got the purchase price itself, right? So if you're a youth, like she was saying, you don't need to have the pay slip yourself. So it depends on what resources are available to you. Could be if your parents are willing to team up with you and finance you for the first property, you can team up with them, maybe if you are going to try and use their pay slips, right? But you just need to make sure it makes financial sense. Because if the property that you're buying just has to be able to pay for itself if you are taking a home loan, right? And also, if you can even target a property that can pay for all its expenses, because a property has expenses. You've got your council rates, you've got maintenance, you've got building insurance for the property. So you want to be able to just make sure that your incomes, do your homework initially well. The money that comes in, if you're going to rent it out, does it cover all your expenses? Does it cover your home loan and all your monthly expenses? If you can buy one that even gives you income, because remember, if you are a youth who doesn't have consistent income yet, you don't want to pay out of your pocket, right? You want to buy something that can cover and also even give you income. And there are models that ourselves, the model that we are using actually pays all the expenses and gives us income over and above. So you can buy. You just need to be able to have access in the means in terms of the financing. But that's where now the different models can come in, right? Or if you have someone who can put in the cash for you the first time, and then you then use that first property to generate the income to start to grow from there for your next purchase.
Thank you. I also have a question here. It says, what do you do if you want to buy a property but you don't have SA papers, only a valid passport? So I'll try to answer first, then I'll give it to Daniel. So if you have got cash and you've got a valid passport, you can buy. You can buy any property that you want. But if you want to get finance to the bank, then you should have a work permit and you should be working. But even when you are not working in South Africa, now the banks can also finance you. Like maybe you are working in UK and you are a Zimbabwean, for example, but you want to buy in South Africa. You can actually buy. They just want to see the permit where you are working, where you are staying, and they want to see a contract. You should have a contract, employment contract, where you're working, and your bank statements to show that you've got consistent income, and the banks can finance you. But it's not 100%. It's up to 70% if you're outside, Daniel. So you can buy. But the only challenge, if you are staying in South Africa and you don't have a permit, you can't get a bond, and so you can't get financed. But as long as you've got cash or other means, then you can buy property in South Africa.
Yes, she's right. The bank won't give you 100%, most likely depending whether you're this side or you're that side. So it will be between 50 to 70%. And everything should be valid, like she said. Working permit, should be valid. If you're outside, you must as well, just to add on those documents that she spoke about, have a South African account as well, that you put money in every month, because we're not going to debit a UK account. So there must be a South African account that the bank will be able to debit.
I just want to comment a little bit there as well. So, for those who are only a holder of a passport, so you might be from Kenya, Nigeria, Congo, and you only have a passport. In other words, maybe you have visited, yeah, so you only have a visitor's permit, which is like 30 days, 90 days, or you totally don't live here, you're a 100% total foreigner. You are in your own country. Maybe you are listening to us, you are in South Africa, you are in Nigeria, or you are in the UK, or you are in Zimbabwe, and you want to purchase property here. You can purchase without a permit. You don't have to be a holder of a permit to purchase property here in South Africa. The only limitation is if you want finance. That's where we have successfully managed to secure 50% for those who are total foreigners. I'm not sure if they also get up to 70 who are total foreigners.
50%.
It's 50% if you're a total foreigner. So you can, which means if you want to buy a property for R1 million, then you need to raise 500,000 cash plus your transfer costs, and then the other 500,000 the bank gives you. So you can purchase, and you can get 50% financing.
Okay, Daniel, you can tell us about bond financing now.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Rooms a lot. I'm not sure why, but what I wanted to ask Daniel concerning that, or the panel, is what are the regulations around building of rooms? Because you're talking of 10 rooms and all kinds of things. What are the regulations, bylaws, and things like that that speak to that?
The regulations are actually done by an approved planner. So within a property, you know, there's barriers, right? There's barriers, the walls. And there's also barriers where there's pipes, electricity pipes and sewage pipes. Those are the regulations. So according to the plan of the property, it will show where the pipes are, where you can build up to a certain meter towards the walls. You understand what I mean? So a person who's going to draw up the plan for you, when they come, they will know where the pipes are. Where if this is a barrier line, this is where I'm supposed to end. You can't build on top of a barrier line. You can't build on top of the municipality pipes. You understand? So apart from those, there's really no regulations because it's your land, it's your property. You understand? Even a number of rooms, it doesn't have regulations of how many number of rooms you can have. It's all about whether are they built the safest way. You understand what I mean? Obviously, 2 stories going up. It depends as well if you're planning to rezone your property. Remember, if you didn't rezone it, it's a residential property. It's not commercial. So if you go, let's say 3 stories, now you're making it commercial. You're not following the law. You understand? You're making it a flat. Yeah. So residential only ends at 2 stories. Like if you're building 1 room, then 2 room on top. You understand? If you go that, it's now flats.
Alert your head of space around the people, because I know someone has tried to do them here to write some petition people outside, and then probably they will be allowed
To build.
Some they need us inside the addition of what you are doing.
Sorry, let me just, from a finance point of view, in a property, I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that apart from Limpopo. Sorry, let me just elaborate on that. Yeah, you get areas that are still under chiefs or things like that, you understand? So I've heard in Limpopo there's this beautiful suburban area where when you buy a land there, you must show them your plans of the house first. You understand what you are planning to build. So apparently they want all the houses to look very pashash there. But let's now move to Johannesburg. I've never heard of a petition. Maybe it depends with area to area, but according to the law, I've never heard of that. Once you've got approved plans from the municipality, it's a go-ahead for you to build. You don't need a neighbor. So a neighbor can actually, you are saying a neighbor can cut your progress in life. I've never heard of that. Even in the finance, we don't care about petitions. You understand? Yeah, because at the end of the day, it depends if, sorry, let me just go on to the finance part. At the end of the day, it depends if, let's say your property is bonded, right? So if it's bonded, you get approved plans, you show to the bank that you are now upgrading your property, right? And then the banks assess it and say, okay, no, we are fine, go ahead. You are doing it cash. We're not gonna say, where are the petitions? The most important thing is the approved plans. That's why even if when you buy a property that has been renovated or that has back rooms, I'm going to ask you as your financial consultant that did you ask the agent if the owner has approved plans of those back rooms or whatever that is happening? I'm not gonna ask for a petition. It's not stated in the law. And I don't know, I've never heard of it anyway. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
Okay.
When you, okay, firstly, the banks are not in favor of multi-tenanted properties. Multi-tenanted properties, we mean those houses that it's a house, but now every room has been turned into, a room. It's no longer a dining or it's no longer a sitting room. It's now a bedroom. Banks are not in favor of those properties because firstly, it reduces the value of the property, especially if you have not done it properly. So when you want to have a multi-tenanted property, you should have plans. So to have plans, first, when you apply for the change or rezoning or to have plans, they also have that a process where the neighbors has to sign.
That's for
that they are giving you they go ahead to maybe build rooms there. But if it's an affluent suburb, most of them, they won't want that.
Let me just on that. Now, because you went on to the rezoning, now you are going back to the number of rooms, like I was explaining to the gentleman, right? So yes, if you want to rezone your property to commercial, because you want to build a 3-story, not a double story, then that's where now they will want that petition. That's for the rezoning, and it's the municipality that wants that. It's not per se that, remember that now you are building something that's high now, and you've got a neighbor this side, and you've got a neighbor this side, you've got a neighbor that side at the back, perhaps. You understand what I mean? So now they just want to find out, because now it's a 3-story that you are building, and you are applying for rezoning for that 3-story to be a commercial flat. There's that big truck that's going to come now, not small trucks. You understand? So the street is going to be impacted because now when you put the slabs, it's going to be that one, the crane one. You understand what I mean? So, yeah, when you now talk about rezoning, it's a different thing. Like I said, it now depends on the number of rooms of the stories you are going. Because obviously, even if you build it without rezoning it, the cops are going to give you problems. You understand what I'm trying to say? Yes.
All right, okay. So there's quite a few issues, right, around, there's rooms, the adding on of rooms, and then there is the rezoning. Changing, let's say from a house to a lodge, to an Airbnb. No, Airbnb is not really rezoning a requirement yet. To a church, to a boutique hotel.
To a clinic.
So now you are changing, or to a nursery school. So those you need, so to a nursery school, you may not necessarily need to apply for a zoning change. The council may just say, get consent from neighbors. Your neighbors, they will tell you, so what you do is you approach the council. It's a very simple process. There's offices in the council. You approach the town planning office in the council, and then you tell them, I want to start a nursery school or a lodge. What do I need to do? They will tell you which house is actually, because on the map they can see number X, number X, number X. Go to them and speak to them and get them to sign this consent. The consent forms, they have them. So they give you the forms and you take them and you just get your neighbors to sign. If all the neighbors that you are told to approach give their consent, then you are good to go, right? That's for one. And then for rooms, let's say you've got a 3-bedroom house. You want to build 5 other rooms just outside, which is the common, scenario, or you want to add on your property, right? Any change any structural change that you do to your property, which is an extension out from the current boundary of the property, or you want to add on a garage, so it's actually a structural extension, right? And in some council regulations, some councils even a carport, if it's beyond a certain size, you do need to approach the council, and you do need to get the plans approved, okay? And in the cases where you are wanting to, let's say you only have one house at the moment, but now you want to build a cottage. So now it's like there is 2 dwellings now. They now call them 2 dwellings, the cottage and the house. You do need to get that cottage added onto your plans. The process is simple. You just get those who draw plans, the architects, right? Who draw the plans for you, and then you take them to the council and you tell them, this is what I want to do. And the council they send out an inspector to tell you, is it okay where you are building, where he was now talking about where the sewer lines are. And at the council, in that process of you getting plans approved, they actually have a plan for the sewer lines for your property. It's just forgetting what the name is called, but there is an office that actually, the town planning office for your area, they actually give you that plans to show you where your pipes are running, so that when you are drawing your plans and you are planning for your changes, you don't then go contrary to the council infrastructure, which is already laid there. Either the council or your current plumbing infrastructure for your property. So you do it right, because if you build on top of sewer and all that, then they will not approve your plans. So you do need the plans approved. And in terms of adding numbers, it depends, the rooms, it depends. You need to know the regulations for the council within which you fall under. Certain councils only allow a certain number of houses on your property. So if you are going to build more than 2 cottages, right? You want a 2-bedroom there, a 3-bedroom there, and then your main house. You need to know if the council that you fall under allows. Like the council that we are under, they allow a maximum of 2 dwellings. In other words, I can only build 2 houses, right? Or a house and a cottage. So you need to know, in certain areas like you were saying, there could be other councils. I don't know all the regulations of all councils. There could be in certain provinces or in certain areas, even here in Gauteng, certain councils where they have no limitation in terms of numbers, but the information is available. Approach the council, ask them, can I build just, because remember, rooms here, and is there limitations and what is the procedure in terms of doing that? Okay. But another point to note though, normally the way most people do it is where they just build rooms, like you've got 10 rooms outside and you have never approached the council for the plans. Normally in most cases, it's not aligning with council regulations. So approach your council, get the info, the information is there for mahala.
Yeah, the effect on that, it's now when you sell a property. Just know that the agent must look for a cash buyer. Because now, as the finance way, when we send an evaluator to go check those unplanned homes, it's a disaster. It's just a decline. You understand what I mean? Exactly.
So just to emphasize the importance of plans, even when you are buying, ask for the plans and make sure that whatever, renovations that they did or extensions that they did has been approved by the municipality.
Approved plans.
Approved plans.
Must have a sticker of the housing there on top to show that some have plans, but they are not approved. You understand? Make sure it's approved. So yes. Can I now get into the finance part?
Just before we go to finance part, I just want to remind you that we have got a book to be won through the raffle ticket. There is our bank details. If you don't have cash to buy the tickets, please buy the tickets from Benis or Tiara there, the pack. Make sure to buy 1 or 2 or more tickets to stand a chance of winning this book. Is it a question? Okay.
Someone owns like a property, but you realize you can't buy it, but then you pay them rent every month that they require, and you put that property on Airbnb, and you basically B&B it out, but you still give the owner their rent each and every month. I wanted to know, is that possible with your agencies? And also, is it a good investment, especially maybe for the youth? Maybe if that's what we can afford, like paying something like that per month, but then getting more income through Airbnb, using someone else's property.
Subleasing,
It's a very good model. Actually, it works. You just have to declare upfront to the owner that I run Airbnb. Are you okay with that? And then most likely then they also probably will review their rental because now you are going to run it as a business. So that's perfectly fine, and then also they also include maintenance terms then, because remember now you've got multiple people coming in, and they also have a building insurance on that property. So they now need to make sure their insurance caters for something like that. Otherwise, someone is there, the house gets bent down, you get yourself into trouble. So you just need to declare upfront, but it's a very workable model. There are people who are doing that. You can actually run that business, yes, which is basically you are using someone's property to run a business.
Another question?
You say the business insurance is different from the normal house insurance?
Yes, it is, because remember, the risks are different. It's a different risk to just have one family on the property and to have different people, different characters coming in, and whatever activities you may do, their functions, parties, and all that. So yes, the amounts then, especially in terms of your premium, and also certain insurances are not business insurance. They don't cover. So you don't want the owner to be caught off guard. You're doing an activity which is not included in their insurance cover. So just declare upfront and have an open relationship and run it properly so that they align and you align. You make money, they still make their money, but they are covered.
I think that will be the last question before we move on to Daniel. Yes, Messi?
Okay. I had a question on this. Mr. Daniel spoke about the pre-approval, that a clever agent will ask you if you've got a pre-approval. Let's say I'm a first-time buyer. I go on Party 24, I see a property that I like, and then I know on the website there's only that one calculator. Now I look at the property, I like it, and then I contact the agent. But now you say a clever agent would ask if you've got a pre-approval. How do I go about getting that pre-approval? Because I thought you would go view the property first, and then you see, because sometimes what you see on the website is not exactly what you actually visually see on the property. And then you get to, if you like it, you get inside that offer to purchase. Then with that offer to purchase, you then go to the bond, the financing companies to see if you do qualify. So how do I then get a pre-approval when I just see the property before I can speak to the agent?
Okay, because today you are here, you are very lucky I'm here. But if you were not here, then you come to ma'am, and then she will then put your numbers and tell me, oh, Daniel, I've got a client, they need a pre-approval. You understand? So a bond calculator, it's not a pre-approval. You can, it's to guide you. You understand? It's to guide you, okay, this is how much I earn, this is how much my expenses are. I can get approved for this. It doesn't necessarily say you are being approved for that. No. A pre-approval, we assess you. That's where I was going right now. We assess you according to the bank's regulations. So to the bank, how do we assess a client? We assess you obviously with your credit score, credit behavior, affordability, lifestyle. You understand what I mean? So that's why hence we ask for your 3 months pay slip, your 3 months bank statement, your ID copy. We even assess, are you who you say you are? Anyone can send me anyone's ID. Am I correct? Yeah. That's why before I even do a pre-approval, I will call you and ask you some questions. I'm assessing you as well. Or I'm talking to the right person. You understand? And then when we say credit score, obviously it's your score. It needs to align with the bank's criteria. And then when we say credit behavior, it's now your history of payments of your accounts that you have. So the banks look at 12 months, right? And in those 12 months, you should be paying your debts in time, not being in the red, but in the green. And we also assess what kind of debts you have, what kind of inquiries you make. Your ITC shows us all of that. It shows me if clientele called you and you took that insurance. You understand what I mean? It shows me if you've inquired with somebody else regarding a home loan. So we look at behavior. So there are people, when it comes to behavior, that love to take payday loans because they want to go blom with Namachita or take your girlfriend out. But let me tell you something about payday loans. You are telling the banks that your salary is not enough to sustain you for the entire month. So meaning you are broke. How are you going to afford to pay for that million house? You understand what I mean? You understand what I mean? And then a nice Asian gives me a call because I like her and says, Daniel, I'm asking you to do something. She really, this client, like, you know, where they are living with the child, it's very bad where they are renting. Please do something. You understand what I mean? And I see those payday loans. And I know, it's a problem here. The bank are not going to give me money. You understand what I mean? And then now, I'm supposed to do a miracle for you to get approved. Some miracles, they do work. I check when was that payday loan. You understand? If I can see it's a 6 to 3 months gap, we motivate to the banks. Let me tell you something about the banks. The banks, they deal with numbers. Yes, it's the honest truth. To a bank, you are a number. That's why they contracted us, bond originators. Remember, I don't charge you, right? So who's paying me?
The bank.
Exactly. So to a bank, you are a number. Should you go to a bank and they see that payday loan that you did 3 months, they kick you on the side. Hey, this one can't afford, this one's a problem. You understand what I mean? They move to a next client. You are just a number. So that's why I'm here. Me, I've got a contract with the bank. So I'm allowed to motivate your file.
Thank you, Daniel.
You are a client. You understand what I mean?
Because of our time, we cannot keep on going. So coming back to you, Elder Memo, your last advice to someone who wants to really create wealth through property, as a property practitioner, what can you advise?
Look, for me, what I've learned in real estate is it's a very practical. It's possible. And it's very possible to own property. Just get information. We are here. Information is for free. All this bond pre-assessment that he's talking about, it's free. We can do it for you. Anyone here who's got a payslip and a bank statement, we can do these pre-assessments. It's literally in less than 24 hours we give you the feedback back. We work in conjunction with the bond originators. So you just need to sign a document that gives us permission to access all your credit information. And then they access it and we give you feedback. What bond do you qualify for? What is your credit scoring? What must you improve? That's where we come in. That's why even now, tomorrow we can do the assessment, and then we tell you what you must improve on your credit profile, right? To make it possible for you to then secure the home loan. So it's very possible. I also want to encourage parents who have access to capital or who have fat pay slips to take advantage of that time, because the time of pay slips passes. You get what I'm saying? We get old and then now we don't have the pay slips. Let's leverage on the pay slips now. If you can use your pay slip to buy the first property for your son or your daughter, do so, and then you take them through the learning curve. Imagine if they own their first property when they are 12 or 15. By the time, remember the bond is 20 years, by the time they are 35, the house is paid up. But you need to do it prudently. We need to do the financial projections in terms of the incomes on that property so that you know you're not going to take out money out of your pocket. You're only using your pay slip. You get what I'm saying? It's paying the expenses, it's paying everything, maybe even giving your son income. Maybe it pays the school fees for them over and above. All you have done is to leverage on the pay slip. If you have cash which you can put in and buy them now. That would be my advice. So it's very possible to own property and to use it as an income for income.
Okay, Daniel, your summary.
Okay. To be honest, I didn't go much into property finance and the requirements and so on because of the time, right? So to cut it short, I would just say my job is to assist you to make sure that you get finance, to make sure that you get approved. So like the lady said, she summarized it. We are here to assist you free of charge. We are here to assess you and make sure that we guide you through the process. Even if your ITC or credit report is not okay, we don't throw you away. We guide you and tell you what you need to improve on. So I would just say, just take my numbers from the lady, take my numbers, be in contact with me if you've got any other questions regarding obtaining a pre-approval or knowing more about documentations that you need, whether you're self-employed or employed, and how we can start for me to check if you actually qualify to get a bond. So I don't know if they'll get my numbers from you or should I share them?
Even after the session, Daniel will be here. Please feel free to go and see him.
Yes.
And get a pre-qualification or his numbers. We will also share his numbers. I've got a last question with me here. It says, if someone wants to buy a property for the first time, which method would you recommend, or which one has more advantage? Buying cash or bond, or which other methods? Who would like to answer first?
To be honest, if you are a first home buyer, it will also depend on age. So if you are young, I would say go for a bond. You've got cash to renovate the property, to turn it into an income. It can actually work both ways for you. You can also put in a deposit to shorten the term of the bond and make sure that you finish it within 5 years. So it's really up to you, but I would recommend it for tax as well, to get a bond, depending with your age. But if you are old, maybe you've been waiting for that pension, time is gone, buy cash. We're not going to finance you.
Okay, Elder Memo, you can answer.
I think in terms of investment sense, if you can leverage, take advantage of someone else's money to make money. In other words, you are not taking out money out of your pocket. Someone else is giving you the money, and then where the money they have given you is going to make money for you. Why should you use your money? It's just, that's my advice is, if you have access to get the home loan, try and use the home loan as much as possible. Whether you take the full home loan or you take half and then you put half of your cash, it now just depends on the goals that you want to meet, right? Because one property may be able to, if you put in a tenant, you take a home loan. I'll give you an example of one of the properties that we own. We went for 100% home loan. We took about 1,150,000 home loan. We renovated it because it was a dated house. We put in tenants. The rent that we are getting from it, we are only paying 11,000 loan towards to the bank, back to the bank, right? But we're getting 28,000 rent. And then our other expenses, your building insurance and maintenance buffer and all that, it's plus minus 5,000. So if you say 11 plus 5, that's what? 16,000, which means I still have from 28, I still have what? 12,000. That's money I can use to pay Daryl's school fees for high school. You get what I'm saying? So all I have forked out is a little out of my cash to just renovate it, but I have taken advantage of the bank's money to make 12,000 rand every month income. So if you can leverage on bank's money, do that. It makes financial sense if you can make money out of the bank's money. But like you were saying, you're taking into account your age as well. Because if you're now over, I think it depends with each bank.
It depends. Let's say over 60.
Over 65.
Or 65,
You can't then get the home loan. So then you may need to leverage on your cash. So we need to take advantage of our youthful time, yes, when we want to leverage on other people's monies.
Thank you. I would also encourage maybe just before you decide whether to go bank or cash, just get a quotation from the bank and see the interest that they will charge you at the end of the day or at the end of the loan term, and see how much are you going to pay. And if you pay cash now, also look at the time value of money. Then you can weigh your options and see what is the best. Because also bank comes with interests and other initiation fees and other things that you have to put into consideration. But if you have got cash, now get a quotation and see what is the best way. And it also depends on the price of the property. If it's 500 or if it's 5 million, but do your calculations and see what is the best way.
Just one more thing as well. If you've got cash, property is one investment model, right? She has told us all the advantages of it. The second thing is you need to look at what other investment opportunities do you have that are available to you, not the far-fetched ones that are in the air. If you've got another opportunity, maybe it's a business opportunity and it's stable and it's certain, and you can put that money there and it can give you either it can give you more than what you can get from the property that you are going to buy. Then it may make sense to invest your cash there and you leverage like on the bank's money. So look at all the opportunities that are available to you when you have cash. And if buying the property, getting the money you're going to be getting is making more financial sense at the time, then you can also use your cash.
Yes. And also look at the use of the property. Are you just buying it for flipping to buy and sell in a short time? Then you get your cash back. Or are you buying it as a long-term investment? That is, maybe you want to put rentals. Then it might be best to go through the bond because it's a long-term investment. Then you can use the cash for other things. Last question. Yes.
Can you talk about insurance to protect your bond protection insurance against loss of income, disability? Is that an option?
From the bank's perspective, it's not an option. It's compulsory. So a bond will come with the bond protection plan. It comes with HOC, whereby HOC is the one that covers the mortar of the property, the structure of the property for any damages, right? And then it comes with the bond protection plan, whereby it has those benefits in it. Disability, what. Those are actually not compulsory, because let's say now you are working, you get into an accident and your legs or something, and you can't continue to now pay the bond amount because at work maybe they're going to reduce your salary because now you can't do your job or something like that. So it needs to pay. You understand what I mean? So yes, I've had clients that went into disabilities and the banks are paying their installment. The insurance is paying their installment. I even had one client that actually passed away before the house was registered. Everything was paid with the attorneys, but unfortunately, she got into an accident, and because the insurance was a smart company, they paid the bank. She left 2 kids that now have a home. You understand? Yeah.
So just to add on, it's prudent, especially if you've got more than one property, even one property, to take also, you can add on to your normal building insurance, which is the home insurance. Take up a life cover, all right, which is to the extent of your bond. Then what you then do is you do a will. You write in your will, and you then indicate, you then put in there to say, in the case that I pass on, the life cover I wanted to pay off, let's say your home loan is 1.5 and you took a life cover for 2 million. You just indicate 1.5 of that life cover to clear the bond if it's a full bond of 1.5, so that your kids inherit a paid up property, right? Or you do a strategy. If you are not going to be able to add on a life cover onto your current expenses, make sure then the property you are buying is such that it doesn't become a liability to your children. So like one of the models that we have worked with successfully with most of our clients, they make sure then they buy a house with a cottage so that they multiply their rental income, so that if your bond is 10,000, but now you are getting, like the example I first gave you, you're getting 20,000 rent, it means they can even pay the 10,000 mortgage loan. There's no risk of them losing, the bank coming to repossess the house when you are gone. You get what I'm saying? There's enough to cover from the rent. There's even more to put in. They can put in the extra income and pay up that bond in a lesser period of time. So it's a matter of sitting down with the property consultants and modeling the best strategy forward.
Thank you. Because of our time, we have to stop here. Thank you so much, Elder Memo and Tanya. Let's clap hands for them. Ladies and gentlemen, property has the power to change your financial future, but only if you have, you have knowledge and you respect the process. So you must do your research, count the costs, understand the market, get professional advice, buy with strategy, manage with discipline, think long term. When you understand property, you do not only buy a house,